The fort here at Fort Thomas, which is the name of the city now, was built and went operational in 1890. It was built to replace what was called the Newport Barracks, which had existed where the Licking River and the Ohio River meet from 1803 until the Great Flood of 1883-84. Believe it or not, the flood got to 70 feet in 1884, and it wiped out the Newport Barracks. That was 2 years in a row that the Newport Barracks had been flooded, and the Department of the Army said, "That's it, we're done, we're not going to rebuild here again." That was $3.5 million in 1884. In May of 1887, General Philip Sheridan came to the District of the Highlands. He rode the grounds of this property, which was then a 100-acre peach orchard, got out to the point and said, "This is going to be the West Point of the West." Sort of an ambitious statement, but who knew? He could see up the river as far as he could. He could see downriver as far as he could. He knew there was no chance of this place flooding, so he recommended to the Department of the Army that they purchase the property. That was in May of 1887. In August of 1887, the property was purchased. In March of 1888, construction began.
It was an aesthetic look, and that's pretty much how the rest of the fort was kind of built, was with this whole campus view of it. You go to other forts around and they're all straight lines, they're in grid shapes.
We became an induction center and reception center for World War I. We had as many as 7,000 men a week go through here in May of 1918.
We were the District of Highlands. The city was founded in 1867. However, we were considered the District of the Highlands at the time. It wasn't until 1914 when we officially became the city of Fort Thomas. Growing up to that, there was debates, arguments, conversation of what this town will be named. Will we be named the City of the Highlands, or will we be named after the fort that has sat here since the beginning and what's created this fort? And so it was the North and the South. The South wanted to be named after the fort, and the North side wanted to be named after the Highlands. And so there were stories of Highlanders dressed up in the kilts of Scottish tradition and paraded through town, and the South side saying, "We have a namesake right here," and it became back and forth until it finally landed to on one thing that decided it all, which was the post office. And the post office was the Fort Thomas Post Office, which led to the name of our town by our city's officials at the time.
The very first building built on this property was the commander's home, back on the point.
There's a total of 10 houses, but 5 of those are single homes and the other 5 are duplexes. So there's actually a total of 10 or 15 homes.
Well, originally the houses in Tower Park were the officers' quarters for the Army fort that was there. And they were used for the officers up till probably, oh gosh, it's been at least 20 or 30 years since anybody's lived in those houses. And then the Veterans Administration took over the ownership of the houses, and they sat there vacant for all those years.
We're restoring them because they've been sitting empty now for somewhere between 17, 18 years, and they're beautiful. They are on the Historic Register. They really are structurally in great shape.
They're a fabric of what Tower Park is and what the military post is. So we went about obtaining them with the idea that they would be completely restored and occupied by private residents.
They were nice homes. They overlooked the Ohio River. Some of them had great views of the river. And they were that way for most of their existence until about 20 or 30 years ago when they went vacant, and the VA still has a hospital there. And so they owned the homes, and it was us trying to get the homes converted over to the city so they could be rehabbed.
Well, the developer did an agreement with the government to abate the lead paint, and really that's a pretty easy process. All that is required is that you paint over the lead paint. That encapsulates it and protects the community from the lead paint. The paint that comes off, that peels off or whatever, they put that into containers and take it away. So it's a fairly easy process, but it has to be done.
A lot of them are close to being finished now. Had to have all new infrastructure, new sewer lines, new water lines, which are in now, and then gas and electric need to go in at this point. And once the electric's in, then there's a number of houses that are very close to being done. And as soon as the electric's in, those will be, they're already sold, so people will move in and start living there. The city doesn't pay anything for it. The nice thing is the developer, all the costs are covered by the developer and the purchase of the homes.
So through a federal government process, we obtained the property. We transferred it to a private developer. They are using private funding with an issuance by the city of industrial revenue bonds.
Oh, absolutely, positively. Having more people back there, and we're redoing parking around the mess hall and improving the baseball field back there. We're making a lot of improvements to the entire park.
We've had so much interest over the years in those homes. In fact, when the developer got the homes, we gave them a list that had been compiled over the last 15, 16 years, and they were able to contact those people to find the buyers, and the houses sold very quickly. And the developer was pretty surprised at how quickly they sold.
Well, this is something that everybody in the city has been wanting to do for a long time. In fact, Senator Bunning, the late Senator Bunning, used to be on city council years ago, and once he got in the Senate, he actually changed the law to allow the VA to sell the houses to the city for rehab.